In 2015, Marvel was on top of the world. Avengers Age of Ultron had just hit theaters, continuing the studio's streak of box office dominance. The MCU was known for its larger-than-life heroes and a signature blend of action and humor. And while audiences were used to these tropes, another story was quietly unfolding on the streets of Hell's Kitchen, one that was darker, grittier, and unlike anything the studio had done before. Daredevil arrived on Netflix like a punch to the gut. It was something totally different than what they were putting out at the time. The show stripped away the spectacle and grounded itself in a world of organized crime, moral ambiguity, and brutal street justice. This wasn't just a new kind of story. It was a bold experiment that pushed the boundaries of what superhero TV could be, and it paid off in ways no one saw coming. So with Daredevil Born Again recently being released, let's dive into why Daredevil Season 1 felt so radically different and why it still stands as one of the most powerful shows to date. At the heart of Daredevil's brilliance are its deeply flawed, fully realized characters. Matt Murdock, played with raw intensity by Charlie Cox, isn't your typical superhero. He's not invincible, not always morally certain, and his struggle goes beyond just physical battles. He wrestles with his faith, constantly questioning whether his violent actions align with his belief in justice and redemption. This internal conflict adds layers to his character, making him feel like a real person trying to navigate an impossible moral line. On the other side of that line is Wilson Fisk, portrayed by Vincent D'Onofrio. Fisk isn't a mastermind. He's a damaged man, shaped by childhood trauma and driven by a twisted sense of duty to save Hell's Kitchen. The show gives us an intimate look at his psyche, from his violent outbursts to his tender, almost heartbreaking relationship with Vanessa. It's this complexity that makes him so compelling. He genuinely believes he's the hero of his own story, blurring the lines between villainy and misguided heroism. The supporting cast is just as integral to the show's emotional weight. Karen Page is a relentless truth seeker with her own dark past, willing to put herself in danger to uncover corruption. Foggy Nelson brings humor and heart, but his eventual fallout with Matt over his secret identity grounds the show's emotional stakes. Their friendship's deterioration feels painfully real, emphasizing the personal costs of Matt's double life. By focusing on these intricate character dynamics, the show elevates itself beyond the standard. Unlike the world-ending stakes of the MCU, Daredevil kept things small and personal, which worked in the show's favor. Hell's Kitchen, a neighborhood drowning in crime, corruption, and fear. Murdock's battles weren't symbolic. They were physical struggles to protect people who would otherwise be forgotten. The show explored the gritty realities of organized crime, tackling issues like human trafficking, drug smuggling, and the insidious spread of corruption within law enforcement and the legal system. Every victory felt earned because the consequences were so real. Saving a single life or getting a criminal conviction through the courts felt just as significant as stopping a supervillain, because for the people of Hell's Kitchen, it was. Foggy and Karen played a crucial role in grounding the show. Foggy, with his unwavering belief in the law, and Karen, with her relentless pursuit of truth, represented the nonviolent side of justice. Their struggles, whether in the courtroom or through investigative journalism, added layers. This storytelling made Daredevil feel intimate and immediate. The threats may not have been cosmic, but for the people living in Hell's Kitchen, they were life or death, and that weight made every punch, every setback, and every sacrifice resonate all the more. Daredevil took fight scenes to a whole new level. The combat was raw, brutal, and painfully realistic. Every punch landed with weight, and Matt didn't walk away unscathed. He fought like a man with a purpose, relying on skill, endurance, and sheer determination to outlast his enemies. The standout hallway fight in Episode 2 became an instant classic. Shot in a single, unbroken take, the scene showed him taking on a gang of thugs in a narrow corridor. He didn't dodge every hit. He stumbled, gasped for air, and barely stayed on his feet. That one sequence told viewers everything they needed to know about him. He wasn't invincible, but he would fight until his body gave out. The fight scenes were meticulously crafted, blending elements of boxing and street fighting. Matt's movements were efficient and brutal, using every part of his body and the environment to gain an advantage. The show also used sound design to immerse viewers in the action, with every impact feeling visceral and real. Visually, Daredevil leaned into a darker, more cinematic style. The use of shadows, low lighting, and muted colors gave Hell's Kitchen a gritty, lived-in feel. The camera work wasn't just dynamic. It was intentional, framing fights to emphasize the physical toll on his body or lingering on quiet moments to build tension. This combination of gritty realism and thoughtful cinematography made the show feel more like a high-end crime thriller than a traditional superhero show. It elevated the action, making every fight not just a spectacle, but a brutal, character-driven piece of storytelling. Season 1 didn't just succeed, it redefined what Marvel storytelling could be. It proved that audiences wanted more than just CGI spectacles. They craved emotionally driven, character-focused narratives. The show's success paved the way for other series like Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and The Punisher, all of which embraced darker themes and more mature storytelling. But the influence didn't stop there. Even within the MCU, you can feel its impact. Shows like Moon Knight and Echo leaned into that grittier, more grounded tone, exploring personal trauma and street-level justice in a way that felt closer to Daredevil than, say, Guardians of the Galaxy. And fans never let Marvel forget how much the show meant to them. The outpouring of love for Charlie Cox's surprise return as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home and She-Hulk made it clear that this version of the character was still beloved. That fan passion helped bring Daredevil Born Again to life, a revival that wouldn't exist without the foundation laid by the original series. In many ways, the show was ahead of its time. It pushed boundaries, challenged expectations, and reminded everyone that superhero stories could be just as powerful in the shadows as they were in the sky. What did you think of Daredevil Season 1? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Marvel content. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.